please.
I'll take it.
Sir?
Say that. Oh, you want me to sign it?
Everybody got a seat, gentlemen? Smith, did you got a seat? No. Have a little seat.
How are you?
There you go. We're all present. Now, we'll yield the floor to you. This is your house. You can.
Well, this is a call meeting, it is 4 o'clock, so what we talk, we will look up with work prayer, man, Wayne, give you a chance.
Dear Heavenly Father, dear God, we thank you for this day, dear Lord, we thank you for the many blessings. Dear God, we pray that everything that is said and done, but honor and glorify you. We pray, dear God, that we would come here and open our hearts up, dear Lord, and we'll do what's best for the citizens of this county, city and county, dear God. We pray, dear Lord, that you would be with us, lead us, guide us, and direct us, dear Lord, and let us be pleasing to you. In Jesus' sweet name we pray. Amen.
First on the agenda is joining with the city of Hazlehurst and the Board of Elections to discuss the city election. The reason why we meeting all together to sit down and work this thing out, because they do have an election coming up, and we don't need to put it off, we need to take care of it. So, I guess.
Okay, if I could say a word on behalf of the city council of Hazlehurst, I want to call our meeting to order at this time. I'll yield the invocation, you've already taken care of that. So, as Mr. Tobin said, I need a motion to approve our agenda, which is only one item. If I could have a motion at this time, please. I have a motion, Mr. McCall. I have a second. A second. Mr. Griffin, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, our agenda is approved, and we go directly into item 1 now.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, you only have one item on your agenda.
Yes, and that's, I was looking, I had one and I lost it, but I got a copy of your agenda. And actually, it was too late yesterday to make any changes to our agenda. Our agenda, did y'all get one?
Not yours, I got one of ours.
We should have copies for it. But anyway, it's too late yesterday afternoon to change our agenda, so therefore, today, the only thing we'll be able to address is our item 1, which is to discuss the city election. Now, at the end of this discussion, before we leave, if y'all would like to go ahead and set a time to come back and do it again and talk about any other issues, we'd be glad to do it. But we're limited by law to only one item today. Okay? All right, so I guess we have a failure to communicate. It's the only thing I can.
Well, that's part of what these meetings are gonna be like, just that we come together, work together.
Maybe in the future we can communicate better.
So we will be discussing the elections, city election.
And we'll be discussing all of ours, but what he's saying, that the city,
Well, we just,
we're just,
Yeah.
the top.
Actually, after we deal with our item, we'll adjourn our meeting, and those of us who choose can leave, and those if anybody wants to stay and listen to the rest of your meeting, you're welcome to do that. Anyway, let me just say, to begin with, I think this is a highly publicized thing that we're here to talk had been printed in here, and Mary Ann and Mr. Purser did an excellent job of encapsulating, I think, the situation up till now. So rather than me try to redo anything or talk about it, I'm gonna ask maybe our resident expert and ledger editor, Mr. Purser, I'm sorry, to start by opening his comments on this subject. Mr. Purser?
Let me emphasize, I'm not here with my newspaper hat on, let's make that straight. Mary Ann Anderson used to go, she couldn't be here, so Roy is taping the meeting, and she will use that tape to report the papers. So there's no ethical conflict. I'm here strictly with my city council hat on. As I recall, Wayne, you're the only current member of this commission that was on the county commission in 2011 when that last election was held. You were defeated 2-10, and that right? You came in 2000.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, he come in.
No, you just came in, you won 212. Okay. Of course, you just got elected. Now, as far as city council, Clyde and Dwayne and I were on the city council, but neither one of these two were. So anyway, so I want to just fill you other guys in from a historical standpoint of what happened. We submitted in writing a request to the county to conduct our election. The county commission at that time agreed to it. We agreed to pay all the costs. We made the statute authorized the city to authorize the county to conduct their election. The election was held. I thought everything was fine. The election went well. We didn't have a problem. We paid everything we were billed. We thought everything was fine. And I understand that back then, none of y'all were on, neither one of y'all were on it, so they weren't on there either. But I knew that John Lee, who at that time was chairman of the election board, did not sign the agreement, but I didn't know that he refused to sign it until I came to a meeting the other day, and somebody said that he refused to sign it. I didn't know they had a problem with it. It was never expressed to any of us on the city council. Now, maybe the county commission knew it, but I didn't. But anyway, 3.5 years ago, after the election was over, we paid all we've been asked to pay. We thought everything was fine until y'all's February meeting, and that's when it came up. It came as a complete surprise to me. But I'd like to cut this meeting short and just say that we'd like y'all to conduct, I think we've done it in right now.
So what?
And we sent them another written notice, or do we have to? Okay.
I don't think we have to, but because of the controversy, I think I notified Carla that we wanted to go ahead and do it.
Okay, so,
If you haven't received it yet, then that's not the same.
okay, but anyway,
But it's not.
so that's where we're saying, we'd like you to do it again, that's where we're saying.
Well,
Well, Mr. Tillman, there was some lack of communication here to start with because we was given a different package than what you wrote in the paper.
I know that, I understand that, and that's not an
Okay,
issue
so,
here.
right, but I just wanted you to know
Right.
that all I got to go by is what's in that package.
I agree. That's not an issue.
But
Right now, we're
it was just
asking
lack
you to-
of communication is what the problem was to start with.
I understand.
If I could just insert a comment for whatever it's worth. Since the time I was elected, we have not had to call on y'all again for another election because our jobs are staggered, and Mr. Purser and Mr. Johnson were not opposed in their reelection either, let's say 2 years ago. So there was no need for an election. That's why it's been so long since this has been brought to the table.
And we may not need an election this year. We don't know
But
that.
it's the time that we have to make the preparations. So go ahead.
when was the letter sent out? Yeah.
February 25th.
Honestly, I haven't seen Kim, I haven't known about anyone yet.
her again, I have, and she has, and none of us have seen it.
There's one question I got, and I may be wrong about this, okay, and I've done this in there, maybe he's checked on the legalities of the election, the handling the full election, which we don't. We don't do qualifying, we don't do any of that. Now, it come to my attention that to the last day for it to be posted in the paper was February 2nd, legally by law. It was not posted until February 4th. The other thing is that when you, February 4th, when you posted it, you posted qualifying fees that you as a group had not approved yet in your meeting. So I may be wrong about this, and y'all tell me if I am, but if I ain't wrong, that is not a good way to start an election.
So your argument is that we,
No, let me back up. I want to do y'all's election. I want to work with the county, I mean the city. I want us to work together.
I think our city attorney can solve that. We're not concerned about that.
Well, I am concerned about it if I'm gonna do the election.
or have we been negligent in our?
Well, to me, by law, it says February the 2nd, no later than February the 2nd. I don't know, I got to look at it. It was posted February the 4th. You also posted your qualifying fees February the 4th, and you did not approve them until a later date. According to that paper right there that you read, I think it's in that paper.
I think,
So,
Just as you
that
said.
is totally illegal.
just as you said, that the communication part is what we need to get past. That's exactly what we need to try to work out. It's been my theory all the time. Every board or either elected official should not be bothering with the election. You got a group of people that's qualified to handle them, let them handle everything. You're qualified, let them handle it all. When those people handle that, that takes us out of the fray. That takes the county and the city. That's been my take on it. I just think that you need that board to handle.
And what the board, the election board, what they have asked is, and I think they don't have any problem with the election. But I think if we do the election, if y'all want the county to do the election, then we need to do the whole election.
I have no problem with that. I think that the board ought to handle it. I think that when it comes to election, anybody that's elected person who's running, the board itself should hands off of it. You don't have anything that will throw a red flag up to anyone else. I think that there should be communication between the board and the city and the county. It should be something, there where we communicate. And it's the like of just us talking. But I think that board ought to handle it all, and everybody else ought to stay out of it, and it keeps it legally straight.
And that's what,
Hopefully then they have.
and that's what they're worried about is contested election, because if I am right about what I just said, and I don't know for 100% that I am, okay? But if I am, that is grounds for a contested election. There's two lawyers sitting here in this room that can tell you that.
I think Mr. Cruz raised a valid point. Now, it's in the hands of the attorneys, I suppose, to see if we've gone too far, or if we've done something wrong, or whatever, or this thing can still be salvaged, to allow him.
Let me,
But we do, I can't speak for everybody, but I do want to do the elections
let me answer.
for the county, because it's all county as far as I'm concerned.
Let me answer. One of the intergovernmental agreements signed by the city and county, again, only 4 of the cities sitting here were in that. The city, the city submitted a written request to the county authorizing the county to hold the city's November election and all future city elections. So the ball's in the county's court.
Right.
We authorized the county to conduct that election that year and all future elections.
That's correct.
According to,
How many intergovernmental agreements that have not
wait,
been?
let me finish this, and then we'll go back.
Excuse me.
According to there are 3 ways that the governing authority of a municipality can authorize the county to conduct an election. We chose the second way. There's 3 ways. The county can do all of it. But back then, we chose that the county shall perform all duties as superintendent of elections as specified under the chapter, with the exception of the qualification of county. That's the only thing that we were supposed to do.
Right.
So it was not our responsibility to publish that notice. It was the county's responsibility, according to what I said.
Why'd you
Am I
publish it?
wrong?
Why'd you publish it?
I don't know. They sent it to me to publish. You'll have to ask them.
Okay.
A matter of information.
Well, it's all
Routine.
Okay. Routine.
But I think it's the county's responsibility to publish the notice, from what I read on this. So,
Okay.
you know, it went up without a hitch 4 years ago, and all of a sudden it's a problem. And I don't understand what's changed.
Nothing's changed. I won't do it, but let me tell you my problem with that piece of paper that they signed is because it gives y'all an out anytime you want to get out, and it never gives the county an out.
The county attorney drew up the.
I understand. I just said I have a problem.
It's kind of late. I mean, if y'all draw up a new agreement, let's get together and draw up a new agreement. But don't,
Or
but right now,
this
you leave
thing,
it
you
same.
have no other objection.
No, sir, I have no other
Or
objection.
you say you're in favor of it.
I am.
That's consensus of the commission that provided we can deal with this issue, then you will conduct the election. Is that consensus of this commission?
My consensus, I mean, if you want to, if you go, you gonna go, you go to Steve first?
Poll each person, and just say yes or no, we won't have it. Begin it with the chair.
Again, it's up to that board.
What,
I
what?
mean, they are the election board. We have to okay. And I have no problem with it. I don't think they will. I think the biggest problem come in was when there was a misunderstanding with the pay. That's what happened. They sat down there, thinking that, well, the city didn't pay them. Well, some of these commissioners, myself and the others, we don't know except for what paper we get pushed in front of us. And just like we met, what, last Monday?
That's Tuesday.
Last Tuesday. And that's what we met for, just discuss and try to get this worked out, because we know y'all got to have this election, and we know that we're gonna have to do it. And we're trying to figure out a way, a simpler way to cut costs. Christie may have it, I had her to figure out what it would cost for us to do the whole election. And then if y'all, she set the machines up, which wouldn't cost anything, and y'all brought in the poll workers and everything.
I think we've agreed to pay the cost regardless.
Yeah, we paid everything we were asked to pay.
But see, that's where the confusion is.
Nobody knows.
And it would be the same way with y'all. If we did something for y'all and then y'all went and negotiated it, and all of a sudden, we get the check, nobody knows about it, and it's $1,000 less than what it was supposed to be, nobody can explain it. I mean, y'all understand where we at.
How, if y'all bill us for it, how are we gonna negotiate it unless we come see y'all? I mean, we're not, I mean, the thing about this is what you're gonna be, what you bill is what you're gonna get paid.
Right, but see, we wasn't in there,
But see,
and
we wasn't in there to understand.
nobody,
We talk about this next one.
that's right.
I
And
think that
that,
needs to be itemized in the contract.
I agree.
There's no
And
issue with
that way there's
that.
no lack of
He
communication.
just wants to know, are you willing,
yes,
That's
we
what
got
it
that, we
wants.
got it.
I'm asking if you're willing to.
if we can work it out?
That's right.
Detail about, I guess his dates, his qualifying dates and that type of thing, is that correct?
Do what?
That the burden is on the county to, as far as filing these dates and.
Well, if the date's
In the
passed, we gotta figure out what we do with
Yeah.
it. I mean, that's the first thing, I mean, if we got a problem.
In the contract, it says the city shall be responsible for all publications associated with the election.
We've
That's why
established-
the city-
I believe Mr. Cruz is willing, and
I'm willing.
Mr. Toller is willing, Mr. Hall, are you willing
Well,
to proceed?
first of all, that I think, and I've had about 10 or 12 contracts that other counties have. We need a good, solid contract, and we need the Board of Elections to be on board with it. Because I didn't even know all the conflict that happened. I mean, went back and dug the minutes of what happened in the board and how it was voted. And at that time, Reginald and I voted not to do it, because there was already some conflict before it ever got started. All right, for no more than I knew. All right, then, 3 voted, Wanda, Ray, and Hugh voted to do it. All right, so that clears that up there. But it was because that we couldn't get all the conflicts ironed out. I have no problem if we take and get a good contract drew up, as Brad said earlier, to where the vote has the right to come out or not. And if their Board of Election is agreeable, and I don't know if the chairman of their board not signed it, made it where it's legal or not legal, the chairman of our board signed it. And so, and then that we get back in another meeting and be able to discuss other things that happen with contracts.
My understanding, the vote stops with you guys, you know, when the final say so.
Other counties that I have notified and got copies of theirs, like Coffee County or whatever, the Board of Election made, they the one that did it with the county.
You said yes, and you don't.
I'm saying if we
Well,
get back and
you
get,
have a contract that's suitable to you, you're okay with it.
if we get back and get all the things worked out, the problems that we have.
Talking about the election only.
The D911,
Oh, I thought you were talking.
Yeah.
I've already said we're not at liberty to speak of that.
and that's what I said, if we, when we get back, we can all talk about everything. I didn't know that it was not, I didn't know y'all
I
didn't have
have
that,
no
so.
comment about that, period.
Okay.
Okay. So, let's move on.
Yes, I am willing, because here's the way I feel about it. We both got to work together. Y'all can't do without us, and we can't do without y'all. That's the bottom line. And if I had the correct information to start with, I would have never voted against it to start with. But lack of communication, we did not get it
I
right.
really don't know, of course, I was not here, Mr. Burke.
And I wasn't here either.
Meetings. I don't, y'all record your meetings. I wonder if it'd be a fair question to ask just how that came up that night about this. Because I've heard somebody's brought it up, let's discuss holding city elections, and somebody spoke out and said, well, I heard that they had finished paying us the last time. Well, from there it all went downhill. So could I ask, who made that statement?
I did.
You did. You said.
Actually, in Wayne's defense, I don't think it exactly went that way. Doug East brought it up.
Okay.
He brought it up,
Well, that's what I-
and he was the one who first said that according to the recommendation made by the Board of Elections, that it was an unreconciled balance. So it really wasn't Wayne that said it, it was Doug East that said it, and he was just going by that agreement. That's how it came up. And it's understandable that they thought of that, because that's what they.
The piece of paper that I had said that.
Yes.
And you can ask Miss Evelyn, you can ask Miss Sherry, you can ask Carla. I probably spent 3 days, and I
I
talked
thought
to him.
he was the person who brought it up.
He was the one that read it out and said,
And after that, that was it. Okay, now, he's gone, so I don't guess there's any need of worrying about that. But where did he get his information?
well, now, not that I'm taking up from him, but the information, and Miss Evelyn, you showed Jack the, 2 things I give you a copy of, or Tommy too, that where it had the same invoice number, 2 different amounts. One time said a readvised and signed by Mr. Mike Cleveland, one didn't say anything. It was billed by, I reckon the board, Chris Ellison, but,
It's
I've got a copy.
Deborah.
and have you seen it, or?
I don't think so.
Well, there's basically here, the person's election expense, $4,782.32. And then there was one later that's signed by Mike Cleveland, which reduced it to $3,065.01, and that was the bill we got.
And,
So that's how that,
and I.
they didn't have this.
We didn't have
They
that,
didn't have that.
and the meeting before that was done, 5, 6 days later, we had a workshop, and we got the minutes in there, I don't have a copy, I didn't bring it. And it said that we met in the meeting and the workshop, and we said that we, W-E, not you or I, we would meet and work on this. Well, I went to Ray's office personally, asked Ray, did you work with Mr. Mike on this, and did y'all get it worked out? And why did it not come back to the board to be approved and then sent out? To me, that's the legal way.
That's the problem.
And it did not. It never come back to board. Ray said that he did not. And I called Mr. Mike, and Mr. Mike said, well, that Christie's whole salary was in it, and this and that and the other. And Vicki Barnado's, we took 60% of hers and 50% of Christie's. He said, I said, no, we. He said, well, I did. And he said, I don't know that anybody else with me. And then they still use the same invoice number, whatever. Mr. Tommy's got it, I carried it to his office. I had nothing to hide. And we turned around and he sent it, and Miss Evans paid every penny that was billed and sent to the city.
Right.
Can I ask something, and this is still on topic, but it's a little different. When we paid, Christie was called on to do extra work for the city of Hattiesburg to conduct this election, and we paid half her salary. Did you receive that extra half salary? Now, if she did extra work, and we sent the money over, we feel like she should have been compensated. I feel like she did extra work, and she should have been compensated.
That's right.
We paid that money over.
We as a
And so should Vicki Barnett. Is she still working on it? But, I mean, y'all, that's something that y'all need to work out. I mean, we will pay it, but y'all need to see what she earns, and then we will pay whatever she earns. That's what I feel. That's my opinion. I'm not
You
saying.
were not compensated extra for the.
Well, that's unfair. I just think that's unfair.
We disagree with that. It's the council's opinion, but that's not.
I think you should be compensated. You did a good job with the lake. We had no problems with it. Everything went fine. We just had no problems.
Okay, gentlemen, where do we need to be? Mr. Smith, do you have a comment?
I want to comment, I think Carl would agree with, we need to determine if there's a problem with the qualifying. If it is, figure out can it be fixed? Because what I'm hearing Mr. Cruz's objection is that if it's a problem, they don't want to be involved in the problem.
And I don't like
And I can understand that. But if it's not a problem, then what I'm hearing is county's on board, let's go forward, let's get us a new contract.
Yes,
But everybody got input into it, specify more detail to it, so everybody knows what's expected of them. The first thing is across the bridge he raised.
That's right.
So for.
Thank you for bringing that up, Brad.
So we put it in y'all's hand, and y'all get the contract brought up, y'all looking at, and get that word out, and it's
And-
ready to go.
Unless there's anything, you can speak to your board, unless there's anything specific that y'all want to tell us now, that y'all.
Does that-
As long as this,
Y'all, so.
and they already got, the contract is gonna get us out of it. I mean,
But-
the liability, ain't gonna be no liability nowhere, but, Tommy's already mentioned that not y'all's contract said that y'all were liable,
Yeah.
for any recount, anything, and,
And I would, again, this is.
one
not-
thing I'd like to say, let's forget about the past and let's come together and work. We family, I don't care if y'all like me or not. We family. We're gonna have to work together.
We all live in the same county.
Yeah, we live in the same county, we work for the same thing.
We wanna work together. and we
Does
wanna do
everybody,
good things.
everybody feel like Dwayne does, or does y'all's board differ that, where he said that everything be handled, Coffee County? I mean, I've read about 8 or 10, and Coffee County, I don't even remember, I've read so many, but I think they handle 100% of everything, and I'm correct. And it's drawn out, and it's as good a contract for either party. It's not a one-way or whatever. And How do y'all feel?
I'm fine with it.
It would be great to go ahead and do that, and I believe that's where we need to be at. I'm with Wayne, let the election board handle it. The biggest thing we need to take and make sure we're doing is something that hasn't happened. I've been here 3.5 years. This is the first time we sat down and talked other than sitting at the JD Ford meeting. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you right now, if we can't communicate with each other, there's a problem, period. You gotta remember, just because we represent the city of Hazelhurst and y'all represent the county, last time I checked, the city of Hazelhurst is smack dab in the middle of the county. We all gotta work together. It ain't about individual wants and needs. And this election is just one of them and everything. This is something that we collectively need to take and be on board with each other. I mean, there's no reason to have animosity about anything, whatever it may be. And like I said, this is specifically about the elections and everything. There's no need for that. We need to talk. If we got a problem, we need to talk. Put it in writing. Hey, you know, I need some help here. Help me out. I don't have a problem coming to see none of y'all. And y'all might not like me when I get there, but like I said, that's all right too. We can talk. We can agree to disagree about anything, but we've got to be able to talk. Communication, and we haven't done it.
If we can't work together, why do we think the citizen on the outside
Thank you.
can support either one of us?
Thank you.
I agree with y'all, but, you know, we're subject to these limitations about the quorum. The three of us can't talk together out in the halls, let alone, I mean, it's just the limitations. So surely there's a way, maybe Ken can tell us, that we have to have joint meetings every other month, whatever y'all want to do.
Yeah, I
It's
think
legal,
we'll have to.
let's do it, okay? All right.
Let me say this, I think I'm gonna guess that I'm the senior citizen among this, around this table. But I covered governmental meetings, 3 years before I moved to Hazelhurst.
Don't forget Clyde.
Oh, that's right.
Hey, that's the biggest smile I've seen on his face. And you said you were, but I said, okay.
Seriously, I covered governmental meetings 3 years before I came here, so that's 45 years there. And just from an old Hoots opinion, that the best way to handle this is we all met first. And got that, and said, well, listen, the board of elections said, listen, we got some problem with this bill, we could have worked all this, and we met first.
And we didn't.
Let's keep that in mind.
We didn't know that until a few weeks ago,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
before that last meeting, that's when we found it out.
Young man.
And, but till I cared to come and talk to Tommy and hear them stuff, I had no idea what was going on. I mean, I really didn't.
And I didn't either until Wayne came and talked to me. I didn't know what was going on.
I'd say let the board of election do the contract, move on with this.
And I think that y'all, this is just my opinion, that y'all need to give Christie, y'all need to come up with a fair amount. And for Amy, I guess is in Vicky's place now.
That's right.
And what they should be compensated. And if we think it's fair, we certainly will pay it.
And, you know, we don't talk to the board because we can all say what if and what this and what that. But the way that Coffee County is drew up, the best I read it, and I have to give Ms. Carter one myself.
How they give it?
But then, and if something happened to Christie, right now she's on this one that's licensed or legal or whatever, the whole election. But there's a thing in there, they have to get in touch with the state to bring someone in to hold that election. And there again, it'll fall back on the city, you know.
Let's don't reinvent the wheel, let's maybe use that one, because the county, and that speak things up, time is of essence.
Well, the first thing is, what Ken said, if we find out, I mean, 2 days different, probably can get forgiveness and, stuff. And
We don't want to do this quick. City attorneys, if y'all want.
We'll talk and start working on the contract. I think it's a good idea to call the county and sprinkle on.
the first thing in the morning is, if it's too late this afternoon, go to be after 5, y'all will notify the board of election and find out what, just 2 days difference between February 2nd, February 4th. Is that correct?
I'd be surprised if we couldn't get some kind of way.
I think 2 days different, if the paper don't come out until Wednesday rather than Monday, and everything, I mean, I
You
think.
mentioned more about than just a date, we need to mention about fees being publicized more than
When we approved the fee, we didn't discuss it.
I think they're gonna come up with costs, and then, is that what you're talking about?
No, we're talking about the fees, that we took qualifying fees and everything.
Oh, okay.
because we didn't talk about them till
I
workshop.
think we reached the general
And then,
agreement.
they
we
would
didn't
change
approve them.
and-
Yeah.
Maybe one more thing I'd like to
As
mention,
we
we
get
get there
everybody
discussing that.
satisfied with the
Chairman, Lowe, we've got one other thing you'd like to mention pertaining to this, please.
And I mentioned it the other night, and Wayne touched on it. If Christie be sick and we don't have another, or maybe something happens, she can't be there. And me and her, we have talked about it. We need, and, you know, I know the county can send one of their employees off and get them trained on these machines, but I thought, you know, we gonna work together, why not one of the city employees get trained? That way, if our employees out, the city employee can come help us, if she's out, when we can work together. You don't need just one person.
I think it's a good idea.
Need back.
I mean,
You brought that up the other day, I think it would be a really good idea.
Well,
I mean, that's just.
I think it'd be a good idea. I'm like Eric, I believe the county's, the city is located in the middle. And if y'all like, if we get one of our employees certified, then the only persons, people that pay for that are the people that live inside the city. If y'all got, for instance, Amy certified, then all the taxpayers, including the city people that live in the city and that are paid for. But if we do it, it's just one, that's my rule of thumb. If it's benefiting everybody, then everybody ought to pay.
Amy's not one that gets certified.
Well,
She works part-time and she said, you know, that just.
she's just not good yet.
What is,
Well, in
what
that
is
case,
the time
that may not
of
work out.
certification? How long, what does it,
What does it entail?
yeah, to get certified?
The first part of it, you can go online and do, and then the second part of it, Kennesaw, you can go to Kennesaw, or they hold, trainings in Macon. And it's like a 5-day training. It's all free, except of course for the, rooms and food and stuff like that.
That's
I think
expensive.
the next one's in April. They won't have to do it in
So you
April.
think there's still a possibility we could have a city employee trained, or is that?
Or a county one, either one, we need two people in the
Well,
county.
I mean, I don't even mind that if it is a city employee, that we pay half the room and board, because it could fall back and help the county. So, I mean, you know, and that's just me, the board hasn't said that,
We're in agreement, we need to back that part up, and we'll work out the other details, so, okay? Anybody else?
I mean, I've had several people that were certified, you know, working with me, but I mean, it's a part-time position, and, you know, if they find a full-time job, they're gone.
Yeah.
So,
Anybody else have a comment, gentlemen, on the city council side, the city of Hazelhurst, our city attorney, any closing comment? Gentlemen, we feel like we've resolved this issue, it's just a matter of the attorneys working it out and Christian. So, at this time, if that's the case, unless, is any citizen comment?
I have one.
Always like to ask that. Go ahead.
Listening to you two boards, and I understand we have a lot of new members on both boards, and a lot of things change in a 4-year term period for any board, especially with the staggerness of it. It may be a good idea for either board, both boards, to look at all contracts. And every so often, renew those contracts. Because, like y'all said, y'all have people make decisions, and then you got to come back with a new, 3/4 of a new board to follow in behind decisions that was made before you were here. Things change over years, so that's my suggestion to both boards, is to look over all contracts
It would
every
be.
so often, periodically.
It wouldn't be a bad idea if we held a joint city-county workshop at some point and reviewed all our agreements. You know, all of us, let's take a look at it.
That'd be an excellent idea.
Well, we touched on that a while ago, and that's, maybe that'd be a proper way to call it a workshop. Occasionally, every 6 months, whatever, have a joint meeting.
Yeah, if something comes up in between, you know, 7 meetings, I mean, you got to be 6 months.
I like to see us meet once a quarter, and maybe once a year on contracts, once a quarter to discuss whatever, or whatever we put on the agenda for that meeting, because there has to be stuff on the agenda.
Joint workshop, yes.
Sherry may remember back when Lonnie was clerk, they used to meet quarterly. Is that right? I know that Lonnie would, they used to meet.
Before my time.
Yeah, before your time. The city county, but it didn't last about 2 quarters. Ginger, but it only lasted a couple of quarters, and then the meeting went away.
But that's when you start having problems, when you get there.
If we're gonna do our job, I don't know how else you're gonna do it without having more meetings. There's just no way.
That's communicating, you need to do it as a group.
You're too limited, and, you know, I've heard comments that Tommy made, and I've seen comments that Tommy made about different things that he probably would have done better concerning the elections, but I'll just raise it that way so we'll be in order here. But if we've been meeting quarterly, then maybe some of them things could have been said, and some of the decisions that were made would have not been made that way.
Absolutely.
I definitely welcome that.
Again, once again, any other city person have another comment? If not, I'm gonna yield the floor.
We're making a motion to adjourn.
I'm gonna ask if the county has any comment or question for us pertaining to this, and if not,
I think as soon as our attorneys get together and get the contracts all up and get everything in order and everything legalized, we're ready to wait on y'all to run.
Well, do we want to go ahead and schedule another meeting?
We need to let them get their.
Why don't we do it whenever the attorneys come to
Okay.
and so let them, y'all kind of.
Is anybody else?
Well, I think that, and I have a problem that, when we get our minutes before the meeting, we get it on Friday or either Monday morning, I get mine on Friday. But like, if we take and they get in touch with the state tomorrow and find out about the election and about the qualifying fees, and if we get that solved, then I think that we take a copy of Coffee County, if that's, and not wait till we meet again. Send every member a copy of it, where we can read this thing and not have to read it right now real fast and then make a decision on it. Because there may be something that we want to circle and say, no, we want this, where it says and, it won't say or you know, something, what I'm just saying. And then that way, you know, we have 4 or 5 days to read over it and talk amongst it. I run up there, and then we take it, come to the table, and when we get here, it's ready to go.
And serve each one of us a copy of it. Great. And you know we got it, and have ample time to look at it. If there's no other question on the county commissioner's side, I'm gonna call it.
So moved.
A motion to adjourn, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Pleasure to be here. Congratulations again on the job, you've done a good job. Have a nice day.
I was yelling to, I was yelling to you.
They're gonna appoint a candidate.
Somebody did, it's okay.
We can discuss it ourselves. But after you discuss it,
Oh, come on. I got the.
Well, this is our agenda, they had their own, they made their. So we're going into executive session, personnel, litigation, real estate. I need a motion to table two. I need a second. All vote. So we will, in this, and we will executive session, discuss personnel, litigation, and real estate. Need a
I'll
second?
second.
All vote.
I make a motion to go back into the regular session. Not the vote to come out of it, we don't have to come.
Oh, okay.
So we have to come back in?
Yes.
I make a motion.
Second.
All vote.
She's had to step back. And I did a lot.
Did he shut it?
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Got to come up, Jim.
Here he is.
It locks me out every time.
Now you know how they feel now.
We got a motion to come back in regular session, a second, and all of us voted for it. Now, everybody. We went into executive session to discuss personnel, litigation, and real estate. And on this, we voted to, we made a decision to come back in here to vote on purchasing some land, and Mr. Wayne can tell us more about that.
The meeting that we had before, Charles and I that had talked with Jerry Rowland about a piece of property, and Charles said he thought we needed a half acre. And that's what we voted on, the half acre of the land at the price of $1,500, and to build a fire station on it at the end of Philadelphia Church Road and Uvalde Highway on the left-hand side of the road going toward the highway. When Charles and I went out and met Jerry and we stepped it off, the fire station had to be 45 foot wide. The truck needs 40 foot to pull out in front of it. And as we got there, and then there's a pretty deep ditch there that you need to come out and be able to go out and get the whole fire truck in the lane before you ever turn to go each way on Uvalde Road or straight across over to Hallsburg. So at that time, we decided that we needed an acre. And Jerry said it'd be the same price as the first half acre, it'd be $3,000 for a total acre, because it was a fire station. And that if we ever needed any more land, that before he ever sold it to anything, he let the county know first. And so I'm coming back to the board and asking that we change this, that we purchase a whole acre of land in that corner, and $3,000. We put the round in, which we had to anyway, and he said that he would have the trees cut and removed off the place. And so that's my motion that I put in.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All vote, purchase for $3,000. We discussed appointing administrator, we decided to table that.
Wait, you gotta go back and look for the request for the department.
Oh, yeah.
The,
For the
road
personnel.
department, yeah, personnel on road department. We've had a man in training, and he's doing a good job, and now we want to move him up. I need a motion.
This, this person here has moved to tier 3, has gone through his training, and he's driving a motor grader, and I make a motion that we raise it to that standard.
Need a second. All vote. Discuss the purchase of dump truck. Now, this is something that, well, number 4, we discussed county administrator, but after discussion, we tabled it to a later date.
I'll make a motion to table.
Need a second?
Second.
And we all vote. On the dump truck, we've got one over there, which I imagine everyone of y'all know about it. It stays in the shop about as much as it's broken. And that leaves us with two of these trucks. We have, I guess the newest truck we got, we purchased in probably 08 or 07. This is the last one we purchased. I'm not saying we need to go out and buy a new dump truck. I'm saying we need to see if we find another, maybe a good used dump truck. I don't know, y'all may want to purchase a new one, but we, one of the three we got, a couple of them is giving a lot of trouble because they are old. I feel like we could purchase a used one and probably get by with it, but that ain't my decision. That's why I'm bringing this up tonight for y'all to discuss.
We got the money in the budget? Is it in, we got enough money
I don't know.
in the road department budget to do that?
If it had to be done, I'm probably where we did it last time.
And I would like, my personal opinion, that we take and, find out what we got in SPOS. Check around. I don't really think that we need to buy a used dump truck. That's my opinion. I just, because we won't have any warranty, and if somebody won't sell it, it's like mine, if I won't sell you something, then 99% of the time, I'm having trouble with it. And, that's just one opinion, that's why all those are here, but I think that, we need to take and, find out first if we got the money and what a new one will cost, and,
Whatever the bids, I mean, got the bids.
another thing, then taking, some of us maybe going down to Savannah, and there'll be some people there in the meeting in April, and in April, and they always have motivators and ambulance and dump trucks and backhoes and everything else, and some of them may have no interest or whatever. That's just my opinion, that we need to, a lot of times they have a show space that they don't want to haul back to North Carolina or whatever, and maybe I hope that everybody would go and get a class that could, and but that's just the way I feel. What's y'all?
I agree with that.
Well, I know that's what we did last time we bought you, but, and we ain't bought one since then. Y'all know yourself, them trucks get work.
Okay.
What's the oldest one we got, you know?
It's probably 6 or 7. I think we got one older than the one we have the most trouble with, I think that. Don't we have, I think we may have a 2006 or 7. And,
The others is probably 7 or 8 years older than that.
so, I mean, we found a good use one in somebody, but they're going out of business finding it, and time we hunted it and go with this and that and the other, and have somebody to go and check it out, all that. We bought a used trash truck, and I had to look at it.
You got that right. It wasn't worth all that good stuff.
But anyway, that
But
is
we
my
got some
opinion.
good use out of that rollback, still getting it
Yeah.
on another truck.
Oh, if you can find one that's only a year old or something, 6 months old or a year that somebody's going out of business, will be no problem.
Big,
Find
big.
a pile of junk.
That right now, in a dump truck, the ones that's about a year old is probably the ones you need to be most worried about. Because when they first come out with these engines that's running urea, they had, and a lot of them they never fixed and still can't fix them. Now, the ones that's come out since then, they about got all the bugs worked out of them, because they did some late model big trucks sold. That was some of the first ones, and they about give them away.
Well, I tell
But
you,
you better be leery of them.
and most of the time, Mr. Hill, you've been on here before, and that buying through the government, if you like the Caterpillar and John Deere, that, most times that we probably can buy one at the show that's brand new with all the warranty on it for what, after this person's on it a year, and now what, he's just trying to get his money, what he still owes on it or something, but, that was just, opinion that I had, and thought that we might check on it there.
So we,
Yeah, it'd be a good idea to check out.
I think so.
Yes. Because like you say, they bring them that show sometime, and they might not even have one there, but if they do, you might be able to buy it. you know, and without it, them carrying it back.
Well, first of all, we got to check to see what kind of cash.
Yeah, that's.
Miss Sherry's got back there.
Miss Sherry gives us,
You got something hid behind?
Maybe I can find something for you.
We see what we got and then we go there.
That's-
Don't, I mean, this ain't something got to be done.
That's right.
We've been needing it for
Yeah,
over a year.
We passed them in repair today. We still rolling this, get passed in repair.
When you start spending as much on one as you can make a payment on one, to me, you go away. So we'll check on the money and then we'll look at that and some money and then don't come up with something, we'll send out for some bids and we'll go from there. It might not be still so. Y'all got anything else? If not,
Can we talk pretty much about anything? Okay.
is that what's on the agenda?
They don't have Jim, but no, I don't think it's gotta be on there, but I'll find out.
If not, meeting is adjourned.
There we go.
Anything you wanna add, call me tomorrow.
You know, talking to Miss Sherry, I think it's, April the 17th, 18th, 19th. I believe I'm right.
Okay, I'll let you know. I gotta do mine, so.
You don't have to stay all 3 days.
You got that?
Is it on what, Tuesday,
The
Wednesday?
tax, about the tax, or you know, it's on the agenda, right?
That's
Okay, that'll
Friday,
be there.
Saturday, and
Can we
Sunday.
bring that up?
And then they're gonna have another class on Monday, but I'm gonna just Friday class, Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday.
And, yeah, yeah. And,
Where'd that little girl go?
She went to church.
I thought we were gonna be here 3 hours. I ain't staying here 3 hours.